May 7th, 2008, Miami. The humidity is clinging to the air, but the agents hiding in the bushes aren't sweating the heat. They are sweating the outcome. They're watching a figure in the backyard of a modest suburban home. He is digging, frantically. When the shovel finally hits something solid, a hollow thud. It isn't a body. It is a plastic drum. Inside, vacuum sealed to prevent rot, is $1.1 million in cash. But this wasn't a cartel kingpin, and it wasn't a mob boss. The man burying a fortune in his parents' garden was a 20-something computer geek named Albert Gonzalez. And here's the twist that makes this case one of the most bizarre in FBI history. At the exact moment he was burying that money, Albert was on the payroll of the United States Secret Service. For 3 years, the government paid him $75,000 a year to catch hackers. And for 3 years, he used their protection to pull off the biggest retail heist in American history. He called it Operation Get Rich or Die Trying. He stole 170 million credit card numbers right under their noses. If you have a credit card in your wallet right now, you are looking at security features that exist specifically because of him. I am the digital sleuth. And today we are opening the file on the double agent who hacked America. To understand the crime, you have to understand the criminal. In the early 2000s, Miami was a different world. But for Albert Gonzalez, the world was just a screen in his childhood bedroom. He was the classic archetype. Awkward, brilliant, and obsessive. He once told a church leader that his computer was his best friend. By age 14, he was not just playing games, he was deconstructing them. By 17, he had drifted into the underbelly of the early internet. This was the era of the Wild West Web. Before the dark web was accessible via Tor browsers and one-click onion sites, there were forums. The most notorious of them all was ShadowCrew. ShadowCrew wasn't just a message board, it was an eBay for crime. You could buy stolen credit cards, fake passports, and identity kits. It was here that Albert found his tribe. He adopted the handle Soupnazi, a nod to Seinfeld, and quickly rose to the rank of administrator. Albert was a master of phishing and carding. In the early 2000s, phishing wasn't the sophisticated text message scams you get today. It was raw, consisting of email blasts mimicking AOL or PayPal to trick users into handing over credentials. Albert didn't just steal cards. He organized the marketplace where they were sold. But in 2003, his luck finally ran out. He was caught red-handed at an ATM in Manhattan, cashing out stolen numbers. The NYPD grabbed him, and then the Secret Service stepped in. He was looking at 20 years in prison. But the Fed saw potential. They didn't want to lock him up. They wanted his brain. They offered him a deal. Turn informant, help us catch the other admins of ShadowCrew, and stay out of prison. Albert said yes. He became Informant CISU1. For the next few years, Albert Gonzalez lived a double life that would make a Hollywood screenwriter blush. By day, he sat in Secret Service offices in Miami, briefing agents on the latest hacking techniques. He helped them dismantle ShadowCrew, leading to the arrest of 28 members. The government paid him a salary. They even flew him to seminars to give speeches on cybercrime. But Albert had a secret. He realized that the agents handling him were, well, slow. They didn't understand the code or the architecture of the networks they were trying to protect. So Albert went rogue. He reconnected with old friends, including a brilliant programmer named Stephen Watt and a sidekick named Damon Toey. They launched a new scheme. Their method was shockingly simple. It is called war driving. In the mid-2000s, major retailers like TJ, Maxx, Marshalls, and Barnes & Noble were broadcasting their data over Wi-Fi networks that were often unsecured. Albert didn't need to break into the headquarters. He just needed to sit in the parking lot. They drove a car equipped with a high-powered antenna, sometimes a Pringles can antenna, which is a classic hacker tool, scanning for corporate Wi-Fi signals. Once they found a signal, they cracked the weak encryption. This is where it gets technical. They didn't just grab files. They installed a packet sniffer. Think of a packet sniffer like a wiretap on a phone line. Every time a customer inside the store swiped their credit card at the register, the data traveled to the store server. Albert's malware intercepted that data in transit, copied it, and sent it to a server in Latvia or Ukraine. The money started pouring in. We are talking millions. Albert threw a $75,000 birthday party for himself. He bought a condo and a blue BMW. He was drowning in cash. He literally broke a money-counting machine because he was feeding it bills too fast. That is when he started burying it in the backyard. And the whole time, he was walking into the Secret Service office every week, looking his handlers in the eye and collecting a government paycheck. So, how do you catch a criminal who knows exactly how you hunt? You wait for a mistake. And Albert's mistake happened 6,000 miles away. In July 2007, a Ukrainian card broker named Maxim Yastrimsky was arrested in Turkey. Maxim was a major player in the dark web ecosystem, a guy who sold the cards Albert stole. When investigators cracked Maxim's encrypted laptop, they found chat logs, thousands of lines of conversation with a user named Soupnazi. The Secret Service froze. They knew that name. Soupnazi was the alias Albert Gonzalez used before he turned informant. The betrayal was absolute. Their star witness was the kingpin they were hunting. But they couldn't just arrest him yet. They needed proof that Soupnazi was currently active and operating from Miami. They needed a digital fingerprint. Every piece of hardware that connects to the internet has a MAC address, or MAC address. It is like a serial number for your Wi-Fi card. Investigators analyzing the logs from a hacked Marshall's store in Miami noticed a specific MAC address connecting to the store's Wi-Fi late at night. They cross-referenced this MAC address with other hacks: BJ's Wholesale Club, Office Max, Sports Authority. The same device was appearing at all of them. The hacker was reusing his Wi-Fi card. It was a lazy, sloppy error. The FBI set up a stakeout. They sat in unmarked vans outside Miami retailers, scanning the airwaves, waiting for that specific MAC address to pop up. One night, they got a hit, a signal. They moved in, but the car sped off. They didn't catch him that night, but they knew he was active. The walls were closing in. The feds flipped Albert's sidekick, Damon Towie, forcing him to wear a wire. They built their case, piece by piece, recording Albert bragging about his empire. On May 7, 2008, agents raided room 1508 at the National Hotel in Miami Beach. Albert Gonzalez was in the penthouse with his girlfriend. He had a loaded Glock by the bed and $22,000 in a duffel bag. When the door burst open, he didn't reach for the gun. He froze. The game was over. The scale of the theft was incomprehensible. 170 million card numbers. The damages to the companies involved exceeded $400 million. Albert was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. He was released in late 2023. But there are still mysteries buried in this case. First, the money. We know they found the $1.1 million in the backyard. We know they seized the cash in the hotel. But Albert is estimated to have made much more. Did the government find it all? Or is there a crypto wallet somewhere, or a Swiss account, waiting for him now that he is out? Second, the ShadowCrew legacy. Albert's forum was the grandfather of the dark web. The people he worked with didn't just disappear. The techniques Albert pioneered evolved. ShadowCrew paved the way for the Silk Road. The carding forums morphed into the ransomware gangs we see today. But the crime has changed. Albert used antennas and code. Today's hackers use psychology. We have moved from war driving to pig butchering. Complex crypto scams where victims are groomed for months. The goal is the same: financial extraction. But the method is no longer about breaking into a server. It is about breaking into your trust. So, what did we learn from the man who broke the banking system? When Albert was hacking, he exploited magnetic stripes and static data that was easy to clone. That is why your card has a chip now. That chip creates a unique transaction code every time you use it. But the threat hasn't gone away. It just moved. Here is your survival guide for the modern digital age. First, the golden rule of 2FA. Passwords are dead. If you aren't using two-factor authentication, you are a sitting duck. But don't rely on SMS texts. Those can be intercepted via SIM swapping. Use an authenticator app or a hardware key. Second, freeze your credit. This is the single most effective thing you can do. Go to Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax and freeze your credit files. It stops anyone from opening a new credit card in your name. Third, public Wi-Fi is radioactive. Albert Gonzalez caught victims because they were broadcasting data on open networks. If you are at a coffee shop, do not log into your bank account on public Wi-Fi. Use your phone's cellular data hotspot, or use a VPN. Finally, watch for urgency. Modern phishing isn't about luck, it is about panic. If you get a text saying your account is locked, stop. That sense of urgency is the hack. Verify it through the official app, never the link in the text. Albert Gonzalez dug a hole in his parents' backyard to hide his fortune, but he ended up digging a hole for the entire financial system. He forced the world to get smarter. He forced the banks to upgrade. But the cat and mouse game never ends. The tools change. The names change. But the motive remains the same. Stay paranoid, stay safe, and keep your digital doors locked. I am the Digital Sleuth. I will see you in the next file.